time, weather, and
Audio Jungle.
Welcome to my channel. I totally appreciate you being here today. And so if you're looking to buy some silver and you're new to it, there's a lot of questions and really only a few answers. And if you're looking to know what kind, what type, what size of silver you should purchase, you really have to ask yourself a question first. And that question is what are your goals?
I wanna be a billionaire, so...
What type of silver you decide to buy, or what size and what type, will decide greatly upon what happens when you want to sell that silver. So think about how you're going to sell it before you even purchase it. The problem with deciding what silver to purchase is that nobody is a prophet and the future is a mystery until the events unfold. Then you'll be a guru. What a person needs to decide before they spend a worthless US cent on silver is where they're going to store it and what is the purpose of purchasing it. Here at Old Fat Marine, I started stacking long before I even understood what the term stacking even meant. I did not know that stacking silver meant that you buy and personally hold the silver. You're stacking it. And if you ever visited my YouTube channel, you'll soon learn that I stack silver because I see the end of the dominance of the US dollar on the world stage. For the purpose of this discussion, we're going to visit silver stacking for a future that is going to be void of the current version of the US dollar. Now note, I did say current version of the US dollar. The discussion that we're going to be having here is about an economy that will be in shambles, and there'll be a great economic reset of some type. Most Americans do not realize that the United States dollar has reset itself a few times already in history. Despite millions of people being wiped out, another reset has to happen to ensure that the central planners, or the bankers, stay in power. Their plans of how they're going to do this has been discussed in a previous video, so check it out. I'll have a link at the end of the Great Reset. What type of silver a person should purchase will need to be immediately available and portable enough to be hauled off one day. When I first started stacking silver, I did not think I could afford much, which says a lot about my finances. I hope to gather enough before whatever happens, happens. And when I speak of a great reset, I'm not going to be shy about it. And it's hard to wrap all the knowledge that you gain, for years of doing something and trying to wrap it into one concise little video like this.
What did he just say?
He said there's a storm coming in.
I know.
But the one thing I suggest that you do is you start looking at what is going on in the world and don't use the mainstream media for any of your information.
An agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
The previous article, The Great Reset, we talked about no matter what happens, the future is coming either way. If I'm wrong about this reset happening in my lifetime, then my children will be better off for stacking of the silver. I firmly understand that my silver will live beyond my life, and that as long as I know how to quickly access that silver, my world will be safe. That is peace of mind, because no matter what happens, I'll be able to use a piece of silver to buy a loaf of bread. And please do not invest in paper silver. Let's talk about real physical silver in a world that the dollar has collapsed, but yet before the new currency has arrived on the scene. As the dollar collapses, there will be a period of time that will involve nothing but hyperinflation. This hyperinflation will be characterized by only a few products even being available on the shelf. You know what I mean, because as America becomes more socialist, shortages necessarily become chronic. Shortages are nothing more than the ineffectiveness of a government bureaucracy and its capability to control an economy. You can spin the shortages any way you want, but all of the government policies are what has brought around these shortages today. But why should I buy silver? And specifically, what silver should I buy? Personally, I bought all my silver online from Money Metals. I've counted 24 successful and hassle-free transactions over the last year, and I am a very happy customer, which is why I don't mind talking about them. I want to get the word out that preparation can now propel a person from barely surviving to wonderfully thriving. When the SHTF event comes, so many people are going to say, I knew it was coming, but yet they'll have done little to nothing to prepare. My wife thinks I am always talking about gloom and doom and bad things that are coming.
I don't see how that's a party.
My VA counsel says that this is because of my PTSD. Either way, for whatever reason, I know that if the market moves like I believe it will, which is only my opinion, I will not only be better off than most people, but I potentially could even have a better lifestyle than I have had for my entire life. To truly understand and benefit from silver stacking, you must not look at silver as a mere investment. Silver is way beyond that, and one only has to look at silver's 6,000 plus year positive results history. If you truly want to benefit from silver, then this is how I suggest you acquire your silver. Let's check this out. One thing I never thought of is silver is heavy. I mean, it weighs a lot. And having served in the United States Marine Corps inside the infantry, I have a hate-hate relationship with the idea of carrying things that are heavy. I can vividly remember carrying 50-plus pound packs, a rifle, and all the assorted equipment of heavy weapons platoon everywhere I went. Yeah, it may sound like a real macho thing to be able to do, but I've done it and I understand reality, and it ain't macho. Carrying heavy things over long distances totally sucks. It is about as enjoyable as digging a hole with a shovel. Silver's heavy. Right now, spot silver, or silver spot, is hovering around $25 an ounce for easy math. Doing simple math, it is about every $10,000 in silver, you gotta move 25 pounds of the metal. If you've never carried 25 pounds, 25 miles in a day, then you really don't understand the futility of it all. Okay, you can do it one day, try 3 days in a row, and I promise you, you'll leave that silver in a hole somewhere, hoping it'll be there if you could ever come back.
We hope till we die.
If you believe that the world is so safe from anything happening in your geographical area that would require you to suddenly leave, then you're a fool. Okay, that might have been a little harsh.
Most of us parents work very hard to keep our children safe and healthy.
Okay, if you believe that your world is so safe from anything happening in your geographical area that would ever require you to leave, you're probably just a typical American living a life insulated from the untold harsh realities of world history. That was a mouthful. If you believe the United States dollar will always be around in its current form, then the rest of the information in this video will be a waste of your time. But if you are still here and you're wondering what type of silver to buy, I want you to realize that silver is heavy when the stack gets even moderately larger. How do I start? Well, if you're looking at silver as a hedge against an economic collapse, then you have to understand the difference between silver coins, silver rounds, and silver bullion. Silver coins are generally referred to as coins that come from a sovereign mint. The most popular silver coin in the world is the U.S. walking or U.S. Liberty walking dollar. There's a higher premium for this, which is just how much premium you pay over the spot price to purchase a sovereign mint coin. Generally, I avoid paying more per ounce for a silver coin when I am solely interested in a quantity of silver. Sure, I receive more money when I sell Liberty Walking Dollar, but I do not want to be haggling over what is a quote-unquote perceived value. I like to look at spot price and say that is at least what I can accept to sell it.
Wait a minute. Oh, we're supposed to haggle. No, I've got to get... What do you mean, no? I haven't got time. Well, give it back then. No, I just paid you. What? Yeah. This bloke won't haggle.
The spot price is the spot price. The premium price over spot to purchase a silver coin is not so clear cut, and I don't want to haggle over the perceived values of a silver coin from a sovereign mint.
All right, I'll give you 19 then. No. Come on, do it properly. What? Haggle properly. This isn't worth...
That's why I like to deal with basically silver rounds. Silver rounds are basically, looks just like a coin, but it's not from a sovereign mint. It's made by a private mint. So when you buy a silver round, you're still getting an ounce of silver, if that is a denomination, and you look at the spot price, and that's your price plus the premium you're willing to pay. The only other thing I would mention is bullion. Silver bullion, gold bullion, bullion. Bullion, simply explained, is just silver or gold or whatever metal, but it's simply explained as being in a bar form. Silver comes in many weights: 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 5 ounce, 10 ounce, 100 ounce, 1,000 ounce. And bullion never comes from a sovereign mint. They're all from private mints. So this kind of brings you around to what size should I get? I suggest you start off with just plain old simple 1 ounce silver rounds. As your quantity starts to grow, start looking at silver bars. If you could even find one, avoid the 1,000 ounce bar because they're just too pricey to be able to sell one day. The end users don't really use them, they're impractical, and what you'll probably end up is looking at really 100 ounce bars, maybe kilo bars. They're easier, much easier to sell than say 1,000 ounce bar. But personally, I like to stick with the 1 ounce rounds and the 10 ounce bars. For a few reasons. One is they stack consistently. I don't like all different sizes because space becomes a necessity after a while, believe it or not. But no matter what, a few small fractionals can be used for money for the smaller transactions. You would not want to use an ounce of gold to purchase a meal. An ounce of silver would be more than enough. In this situation, even the 100 ounce bars of silver would be impractical. The reality of what I like to buy is I like to continue to prepare for the Great Reset, knowing that I can't keep stacking silver because what if I have to carry it by hand? I know it might sound like super paranoid to say, yeah, you're afraid that you'll have too much silver and you won't be able to carry it out. And the typical reply I hear from people is, oh, I'm going to make sure I take it, or, I got enough guns, or whatever. But the hard, cold reality of it is, could be a flood, could be an earthquake, could be a dam breaking. Who knows what the situation that could come in someone's life. That's why they call them unexpected. And I honestly worry about carrying the silver because if you get, 25 pounds, if you have reached $10,000 in savings, like we said, it's 25 pounds. So the thing is if you have to if you can put it in the trunk of your car, in the back of your truck, great, fine. But what if you ultimately have to end up walking with that stuff? And I just remember once I learned a valuable lesson. Take a little rabbit hole detour here. I had a valuable lesson once. It was I was in North Africa, and I remember I was out and about in the desert with 2 of my lance corporals, and we came across a mud hut.
When you said I could do you in your mud hut, I thought you meant something else.
And I mean, it was really a mud hut. It was primitive. It was literally carved into the mountain. It could have been there for who knows how many hundreds of years. But it was ancient, and it was a store. And so we went in there, and believe it or not, there was 3 bottles, 7-Up. They were in these big green glass bottles, and we wanted to buy the 7-Up. I reached into my wallet, and I pulled out $5, and I handed it to the guy. And he wouldn't take it. He scoffed at it. He literally threw it on the floor. It was like, what's this crap? And he didn't want it. It was just paper to him. And he looked at one of my very great lance corporals, pointed to a watch and said, I'll take that watch. And so we bartered for him and with him, and he ended up with the watch, and we ended up with the 3 big bottles of Arabic writing on 7-Up bottles. I learned at that moment that if the dollar is not accepted, we could have gone thirsty. But once the dollar dies, a new currency is going to have to eventually pop up. And it's between the collapse of the dollar and the rebuild of whatever comes that we have to survive. Will the rebuild last a day, a week, a year, 3 years? Who knows? But I do believe that if I had silver back at the mud hut, my lance corporal might still have his watch. Because silver in the smaller denominations was initially all I thought I could afford, which was true, and it is true. But now I start seeing the pile getting bigger, so I'm thinking maybe I should just be a little more disciplined and maybe buy a 1/4 of an ounce of silver here or a 1/10 of an ounce. The grams are just too expensive. Premium is too high. But the point of everything is as you're getting going, because that was the original question, is what should I get? I'm starting out. Start out with silver, but realize that eventually, if you are really truly dedicated to what you're doing, preparation, and not just investing, trying to make a quick buck, and once you make that mental click, just start saving some silver, and then just slowly start to transfer some of it over to gold. Because, God forbid, if you had 7,000 ounces of silver and you had to leave and you couldn't take it with you for whatever reason, that would be horrible. Especially if you have gold, you can just shove a few ounces in your pocket and a few handfuls of silver, and silver will buy you bread and gold will buy you passage. But whatever you do, just start doing something. Okay? Semper Fi. Semper Fi.
3.5 load. Do the same thing again. Push forward, bolt release. Alright, now you can lift your 1. Okay, make sure you're tied in on your target.
Time, weather, and...
Audio Jungle.